Hey, happy Friday, everybody. It's Chris Pranger. I know, I'm your best friend, but chill out because it's Friday. Friday's a good day to chill out, and that makes it a great day for show and tell. And I got the floor today because it's my Friday to talk about show and tell. If you have been listening to the podcast, which I highly recommend because Pedro's doing a great job, you may have heard me mention that my current budget for toys and anything in a month is very pitifully low. Probably about $15, give or take $10 or so dollars. So I don't have a lot to spend on myself. And that's really sad now. But what's not sad is that I had a great childhood, and my childhood is still going. I'm not giving it up without a fight. So I have a huge backlog of things that I can look at in everything. Games and toys. Because I had huge collections of toys. I already talked about Pokemon, little figures I had. I already talked about Dragon Ball Z, which were some of my big collections. I have my biggest yet, which is Ninja Turtles, and that's in the future at some point. Rest assured I'll get to that. But one of the other things I had was one of the cheapest and best toys that any kid could have. This was kind of a requirement. This is one of those toys that everyone had and everyone should have had. Similar to, I put this in the category of jump rope, tea set, a ball, Play-Doh, a slinky, Legos or blocks of some sort. These are the type of toys I put in the everyone had to own these at some point and play with them. And so I'm talking about Army Men. These are the epitome of simple. Because all you have is just one solid color molded out of plastic. And most Army Men you'll find are molded after the World War I, World War II era, which is apparently the good time, and only good wars. So that's when it's okay to have a war. I have not seen Army Men that are more recent. I am not aware if they are. Well, then there are. I haven't been buying Army Men because I have a big collection, which you can see in the pictures. I also have a very eclectic collection of Army Men. Things that are very strange and not technically Army Men, but they are the same exact type. Just little chunks of plastic shaped and colored, and they're pretty great. And I have something a little bit more at the end. But we get to that later because we're only now in the realistic Army Men. World War I, World War II. Let's do it. Go America. And so the basic you have to start with is your basic green, who is facing forward and, he's facing forward and shooting. He's pretty standard. You shoot, you point, you aim, bang, bang, bang. That's how he's used. It bugged me, though, that they had variants of this. Like this guy, he's standing differently. Like this guy's pointing straight ahead. This guy's pointing like over his shoulder, like over this guy's shoulder, pretty much. It made no sense to me because as a kid, you line them all up or you put them on stacks and stuff and like, okay, bang, 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 you're in a war. But this guy, he didn't make any sense at all. I'm like, okay, so I tried to find ways for him to look cool. So my storage units, which happened to be Huggies baby wipes, I don't know why they were my storage units, but this is what I stored my Army Men in. I tried to have him like, oh, maybe he's peeking around a corner or something like that. And it was even a stretch for me to care about, and I was all about imagination, and these are even more about imagination because there's zero movement, no articulation. That's why I love articulation so much. Oh, they're so good. That's another day, okay? Another day on articulation. Right now, Army Men. And so they also had, there were some that, like, even imagination, how far can you take it? So, such as just the standard infantry guys that are just walking around, just carrying their gear. Like these guys, this looked more to me like an actual tool that a real war general has in, like, he has a map on a table and he puts these guys out and he says, alright, this is where we're marching today and that's what's going to happen. Apparently he's also a Scottish general, but that's not important. The important thing is that this made little sense to me. As just a standard guy, he's walking. I mean, it's strange to me because, I mean, you've got someone like the radio guy here, he's on his radio, but this is more interesting than this because this is specialized. He's on his radio, he's got a gun at least, but he's busy. He's really busy. And even stranger, I thought this guy was really cool. He's even less in action because he's just sitting down. He's basically just chilling out here. But this was cool to me. He was very specialized, and it's like, oh well, every side has to have this guy. This is required. Otherwise, well, how are they going to manage? It just doesn't make any sense. And so I was like, well, but this guy's boring. And you can kind of play with him, like, oh, he can like stab, but that's really stretching it. And binocular guy, you gotta have binocular guy because you have to have someone looking off in the distance. And this guy's happy, he's waving, "What's up, everybody?" But then they also had these walking soldiers. These ones I had, my set at least, were really dopey. This guy's like a whole head shorter than the other standard. It looks like George Costanza is in World War II for some reason. He doesn't even have a bayonet at the end of his gun. He has just a normal assault rifle, so it doesn't even make much sense. He has to, like, headbutt. It's just very strange. And I never got that. But they had a lot of other really cool ones, such as you got your standard crouch shot, like straight on down. That was always cool because he can look down ledges, and he's not necessarily a sniper because here are your snipers. And these were like the coolest of the cool because everyone had to have. If you were playing with a friend, you would fight over the snipers. You would fight over these guns, just the rail gun, the mini guns, just. Okay, so the best thing is you take this guy and you make sure you also get the car, which is stupidly sized. Like there's no way this is the actual size, but you say that he fits in there. So now this guy is totally mobile all around. And it gets really cool all of a sudden, like, because imagination is cool. And so, let's take a look at some of the other guys. This guy was sweet. I only had one of him. He was a guy with a flamethrower. I don't know how often they made sets with guys with flamethrowers, because from what I understood when I would get bags, you had the dopey infantry guy, maybe the other stupid infantry guy, you had your standard, shooting, bend backwards shooting guy. Maybe you had a sniper. You had to have a guy lobbing grenades. Where's my grenade lobber? You had to have a guy lobbing grenades because you have to be throwing grenades. And maybe some other weird specialty guys, like the radio guy, or Mr. Binoculars here. He's just, he's just chilling. But I didn't see a lot of these because I got a lot of army men, and I only have one who has a flamethrower and is actively using it. I have another guy who I'm pretty sure has a flamethrower or looks like it, and he's like climbing, so he's in a cool action pose. He's either climbing or he's just been shot in the back, and both of those are pretty fun to play with because there's a lot to play with there. But you have your grenade lobber, which he's okay, but not as cool as the pipe bomb lobber because this guy is totally in an action pose. This guy looks kind of dumb because you don't really throw a grenade like that. This is how you throw an explosive. And that's like, you got the full-on arch. Like, these were cool. Like, just think about these. These were modeled after real poses, kind of. And some of them are much more dynamic. This one is not molded very well, because you can see the crease where the mold was, so that the plastic is jutting out of it. And I'm not the type of person who ever bothers to, cut away the edges, because, hell, these are army men. Who cares about that? But the mold is very, very generic in terms of, it's not detailed, but the pose is so detailed that it makes up for it. And that was really cool. That's what kind of the cool thing about army men. You had to have your generals, your guys in charge who are giving orders. This guy's just standard, go there, go there. Usually you partnered him with this guy or with this guy here. Like, these guys you have to have them together. Then, of course, there's the bazooka. I only had one bazooka as well. So I had one guy with a flamethrower, one guy with a bazooka. Usually it was whoever got the flamethrower guy couldn't have the bazooka guy, and vice versa, because they're too powerful. They were too powerful. Too powerful. Downside to a lot of army men, though, is you have the kind of wimpy gun effect. Some of these guns, the plastic would be so thin that they would just kind of be wimpy. So this guy, who's already bow-legged as it is, has a gun that's made of spaghetti. And that's really sad, because he's in the good wars, so he really needs to get his act together. Especially when he's fighting, like, the best guy ever, has a grenade and is shooting an Uzi, and looks like he's stabbing himself in the gut. Like, he's not going to let you kill him, he's going to kill himself. Look, I mean, that doesn't look comfortable. I have a bunch of these guys, even though these should be like the most powerful of all the army dudes, because they got double capabilities. And he's even in a good, you know, he's got a good pose. This is cool. This is cool. Some poses didn't make sense to me. This guy is standing there. He's got two guns, but he's not aiming anything, and it's like he's posing for a camera. I have a couple of those. This guy is cool because he has a really cool gun that's different than a lot of other guns, but he's just running. And this guy is really sad because he clearly has been shot. Very clearly. He's waving goodbye because he's dead. There's not much else you can do with him because he's dead. And it's very sad. This guy's crawling. You got your good crawling position. So these were just standard army guys. Here's at least an infantry guy who's moving his ass because he needs to move, because that's how you move in the military. I had a set, I got some just sets that came with an American flag and a German flag. So always fun to argue with your friends or siblings who gets to be America and who gets to lose in this war. We know how history worked. You don't need me to critique this war. But those were army men. That's not all the army men things I have. I also had a set of these guys. These are Native Americans, by the way, in case you were not aware. I have a bunch of cowboys and Indians that were pretty cool because they came with a whole little play set that was really cool. And so a bunch of these cowboys, a bunch of Indians that are as completely racist as you can make them. I mean, they're stereotypical. He's got a spear there. This guy's got a knife and a tomahawk and a bear head. It's just like very dopey. Here's the Indian that shoots the little star on the Tootsie Pop, or at least that's what it looks like. He can, if he wants to, he can also ride around in the vehicle. That's totally fine. But they did also have stagecoaches with horses. I have some guys here that have horses. This Native American chief got a gun. He's not pointing anything, but he's also got a horse, so good on him. Of course, they still don't stand up to the actual tanks that I had for Army Men, which are still not to scale, which that's not a big deal. Who cares if it's to scale or not? Such as, here is a really good evil-looking, like, general, because he's got the little war pistol. I don't know what they're called. I'm going to say it's the Silence PP7, because that's all the guns I ever knew. But he was evil. Clearly he goes on this side of the war. But then you had some other cool ones like this guy. He looked like a little war spy, kind of dressed in a trench coat type thing. These are just cool. I had fun with these. I had a jet, not even close to being to model scale, and a helicopter, which was also fun. And pretty much whoever had the jet and didn't have the helicopter. That was the rules. I also had ninjas, because you have to have ninjas. They came in black and white, and some poses were... This ninja's not winning the war for anybody. This one might sneak up and slice you. This one is out and out trying to punch a dude. And, you know, maybe if he gets binoculars, guys, kapow, right in the throat, maybe he'll win. Otherwise, you got some. You can still have some good fights. Here, we have a Rough Rider here against clearly a ninja, and they can fight. And that'll, you know, this is just kind of the fun thing you can do. I also had aliens. They were not good at all. I don't think I have any aliens that actually have an attack pose. I have an alien here who is missing an arm, like he's clearly holding his arm because it's been blown off. I have an alien who has broken a flag, because apparently he thinks that was the ultimate weakness, was if we lose our flag. This alien has a gun, but is sadly very naked and can't use it, I guess. And this alien is trying to scare everybody, and it doesn't work. So we'll have the aliens fighting the Native Americans over here, And that's kind of what I had for my, just these little toys, which you can get these for any Dollar Tree. Like any dollar store you have, I guarantee they have at least some small bag. If you go to any toy store, they're going to have just oodles of bags of these things. They're everywhere. They're in mostly drugstores. You can get these for cheap, and I highly recommend getting them. But that's not all. See, I also got a bunch of bags of these little spaceships, because the aliens are already attacking. You might as well add in spaceships. Had a bunch of them, came in weird colors, and just, you know, it was all about the imagination, as I've always said. Always about imagination. So these things would just have to represent a bigger fight going on. You know, the war would be on the ground, and I would have everything close up. But then I'd zoom out, and we're fighting with actual ships and stuff. And that would just go on and on. And I had two really cool detailed guys. They were clearly like the ultimate like leaders of the factions. You had America, and you had not America. Kind of works a little bit, and they were pretty cool because they're fully colored, and that was really rare. I don't remember where I got these figurines from or what they're supposed to be. I think they're just supposed to be cool figurines, so I liked them. And then we get into the last little bit that sometimes made appearances and sometimes did not make appearances in the wars. I'm talking about Z-Bots. I don't know if you are aware of what the hell these things are. I wasn't even aware of what the hell these things were and are now, even though I had a bunch of them. Because it was like one of those weird things. It was like a flash in the pan. Just, phew, this is a fad, and now it's nothing at all. There's just nothing to these. I had a friend who had a bunch. Different person than I've been talking about on the podcast. I had a friend who had a bunch who just... He was the type, he had toys, he'd get bored of them, and he'd just give them to me. So I got a bunch of these Z-Bots, and I didn't know what they were for. I knew they weren't Transformers, I knew at least that much, and I didn't know anything about Transformers. And I knew they were not standard. I knew they were robots. They were clearly robots. Some of them had like bot on them. I think I might have seen commercials, and a lot of them have these Z's on them. Z-Bots. And so I had no idea what these were. I don't know if they had a TV show or a comic book. I know they didn't have a video game, but they had a little toy line. These little collectible toys that were also really, really cool. I mean, this guy looks like he's a wolf with a mohawk and an eye cannon and a missile on his arm and a something else, like a bandsaw on his arm, and he's got giant boots. This guy was like, how can you make a toy any cooler? And he's a robot. That is really cool. Stupid, but really cool. My favorite was this guy. He's actually a baseball player. He was holding a bat, as you see, the remnants of the bat. My friend, when he still had these, when they were still his, he thought the bat was stupid and ripped it off on both ends. I couldn't believe that you would do something like that to a toy until I saw the results here, because now he's just he's a guy with two huge fists, blades under his arm, and he's ready to just pound the crap out of you. This was my favorite guy. I don't think he had a name, because I don't know any of the names. If you know the names of these, 1,000 geek points if you can name who this guy is and who this guy is. I think I called this guy Wolfenstein, because why the hell not? This guy was like Boomer, because also, why the hell not? This guy was just called Wings or Glider, because he was a glider. And I think this came in like a KFC thing, when I think it was KFC was doing promotions with it. So flying toys were cool to me all the time. But some were really cool. You got your guy with drill hands, which is cool. You've got a guy who has multiple hands, and I don't even know what he's holding. Okay, let's look at this very closely. He has a laser in this hand. He's got like a claw in this hand. He's got like lipstick or a little pocket knife in here. He's got like brass spiked knuckles, another claw-like hammer digging thing, and a mace. And no face. That's just really cool. So yet again, stupid, but really, really cool. But then there were some not so cool ones. I didn't like this guy. He was a motorcycle who he flipped up and it had an angry face. I always thought that kind of stuff was really cheap, and I didn't like that. I still like this guy. He was a bulldozer guy, but he was just like the friend in the storylines, which there were storylines, mind you. This guy was always the main character. This guy was his sidekick. And this guy was the main villain for a long time. Until I realized I had these guys. They are not Z-Bots. Even more geekery points if you know what these guys are from. Because I do not. They have these weird little things, like stickers, that like changed colors or something if it was warm, or I can't remember. But they revealed like almost like their element. Like I had no idea what these were. This guy had lost his arm and melted off, so he was kind of the second in command, but still really cool because he's an elephant. This guy was a horse, and he was the strongest of all the strong that ever was strong. I don't know what he was. I assumed he was a robot, and he was very evil because he looks like a very evil horse. Way before Bad Horse, but this is what Bad Horse would look like if he was part robot and was in my childhood. And I don't even know what these guys are from. Even more, if you know what these are from, you kind of need to just stop. If you can accurately tell me what these guys are from, because I don't know. They were in like KFC thing or McDonald's, or I don't even know. I don't even remember. If you can remember, whoa is all I can say, because I don't even remember. So these were cheap. All these were cheap. Hand-me-down stuff I swiped from friends and was given to me by friends, stuff I got in Happy Meals and little kids' meals, and just Army Men. These are still some of the greatest toys. These will be around after we're all dead. People will still be playing with these. Humans won't even be around, people will be playing with these. Bane of mothers everywhere because they get stepped on and they get thrown and everything, and they're just a great big mess. But I love them, and I loved all this, and that was my childhood on a budget. And this is a mighty good collection, I might add. I can try to guess how much this is valued at, and it's going to be under $20. Guarantee. Everything before Z-Bots, all Army Men and everything, under $20. After Z-Bots, I don't know what the value of those are, if there are collectors out there that have been collecting the little random things. I don't even know what this is. It's like a prawn, but it's a Robo-Prawn. Cool! So, somebody's got to be collecting these. There has to be someone who thought these were cool, and they might go for something. I haven't checked before I wrote, but before I recorded this, so I'll check after I actually write something up. I'll give you something to go with. But, yeah, if you can name any of these, any single one of these, kudos to you. If you can't, we're in the same boat. So, I leave you with that, guys. You can still have fun when you have no money. Guess that wasn't going to be as clever as I thought it was. Doesn't matter. I still have a covered wagon, and I can still ford the river. I don't recommend it though. Only for the advanced players who have an imagination that can get them across that river and into Oregon. This is Chris Pranger signing off. Have a good Friday.